as investors, the upside to the market here now outweighs the potential downside. Yes, you're still going to have corrective pullbacks. That's just part of the markets. They go up and down over time. But the trend of the market is still positive. The bullish market is still intact. The trend is still positive. Your momentum and relative strength indicators are improving. That all suggests that probably the next stop for the market is going to be all-time highs, then a much bigger correction to the downside, even though there's a lot of people still thinking that's still coming. Here's what you need to know before the bell. A lot of emails over this weekend, still concerned about the next shoe to drop in the markets. This is just the rally. It's a bear market rally still, etc. It's not really a bear market rally. We had a correction. That correction is now over for a whole lot of reasons. But again, when we start to step back from kind of the daily, price data that goes on and start to look at weekly market data, we get a little bit better sense of what's actually happening in the markets. And again, we're seeing a lot of improvement from where we were just, a couple of months ago. This is a weekly chart of the S&P 500. Let me explain to you what I mean by this. So we were extremely overbought on a momentum basis for a very, very long time. During this whole rally heading into this year in particular, this market was extremely overbought and pushing higher, but we just had a lot of excitement in the market. So we had 20% year coming off of October of 2022. We had a 20% return of the year last year, so exuberance was high. It was all about AI and everything else is going on. So markets can and do stay overbought for a very long period of time. And as we started getting into early February, we started warning about, hey, we're really overbought. We're starting to see some cracks in the markets. Be a little bit careful, reduce risk. We talked a lot about this on the show. We then triggered that sell signal, and then we had this correction. That correction worked off a whole lot of this overbought condition on both a relative strength and a momentum basis. We got oversold on both of these bases. We've now turned that back up, and we've now triggered a buy signal on a weekly basis. Again, this is a slower moving indicator. So by the time it triggers on the way back up to confirm that this low was the low, you start to see a better outlook for markets. And again, we're seeing, rising relative strength here. That's good news. We're not extremely overbought yet. We're getting there. We're going to have a correction here at some point this summer. It's just a function of time. When we get there, we'll see. Again, with this weekly buy signal back in place, that suggests that the next market move is going to continue to be higher. Yeah, we could have some pullbacks here to support, and there's plenty of support levels between the longer-term moving averages and the shorter-term moving averages. Got a lot of support building right around 5740, but you could pull back to around 5500 on the S&P. That wouldn't be surprising, but a corrective pullback is going to be another opportunity to add exposure as long as this buy signal is back in place. And again, if we just go back through history and take a longer term look, what you'll see here is that the long-term moving average has been running support for this market ever since 2008. Every time we've come down, here's the pandemic, here's 2018, here's October 2022, here's the correction we had in October of last year, and then of course this recent correction, have all come down, tested this longer term support. And whenever you've triggered these buy signals from very low levels, those have been good entry points for the markets. And again, we just had one of those events. So as investors, the upside to the market here now outweighs the potential downside. Yes, you're still going to have corrective pullbacks. That's just part of the markets. They go up and down over time. But the trend of the market is still positive. The bullish market is still intact. The trend is still positive. Your momentum and relative strength indicators are improving. That all suggests that probably the next stop for the market is going to be all-time highs before we go down. And that's the greater odds here than a much bigger correction to the downside, even though there's a lot of people still thinking that's still coming. That risk has now been greatly mitigated over the course of the last month or so. Anyway, that's what you need to know before the bell this morning.